Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Good Tuesday Day. We're going to cover some good stuff that's happening in the news very recently because sometimes I guess we were looking at the news stories and I guess all the good news ended April 12th.
You turn Facebook off.
Oh.
I'm getting you an echo.
Too, but it's fine. All right.
It's across the room.
Okay.
Anyway.
Let's go ahead and look at our news headlines here. Today on Before Coffee, Denmark launches its biggest offshore wind farm tender, and gigantic marine reptile identified from fossil found by an 11-year-old girl and father.
Good Tuesday, there's finally some positive news for car maker Rivian.
Coming out of the UK, cost of cigarettes increasingly important for quit attempts, study finds.
Good news. Woman owns a cafe for people with disabilities.
And coming out of culture, Nature now has its own Spotify artist page.
Those stories and more, which is National Talk Like Shakespeare Day. So thou shall stay tuned for the news on April 23rd, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Okay, first news story coming out of Denmark. This is going to be a quick one. It's more like just a news brief. This is from AFP. The Danish Energy Agency on Monday, April 22nd, launched its biggest tender for the construction of offshore wind farms, aimed at producing 6 gigawatts by 2030, more than double Denmark's current capacity. Offshore wind is one of the major sources of green energy that Europe is counting on to decarbonize electricity production and reach its 2050 target of net zero carbon production, but it remains far off the pace needed to hit its targets. Denmark's offshore wind parks currently generate 2.7 gigawatts of electricity, with another 1 gigawatt due in 2027. Sorry, they're scheduling 1 gigawatt to be generated, but it's weird because they capitalized GW, so I was like, huh? The tender covers 6 sites in 4 zones in Danish waters: North Sea, 1 Kattegat, Kriegers Flak, 2 and Hasseslo. We are pleased that we can now offer the largest offshore wind tender in Denmark to date. This is a massive investment in green transition, Christopher Botsau, head of the Danish Energy Agency, said in a statement. Investment in offshore wind plummeted in Europe in 2022 due to supply chain problems, high interest rates, and a jump of prices of raw materials before bouncing back in 2023. A record 4.2 gigawatts was installed in Europe last year when a record 30 billion euros in new projects were approved, the trade association Wind Europe said in January. It said it was optimistic about the future of offshore wind in Europe, expecting new offshore wind capacity of around 5 gigawatts per year for the next 3 years. However, it noted that they were still far short of what it was needed in Europe if it wants to hit its 2030 target of 111 gigawatts. Yeah, no kidding, that's a lot of offshore wind installed capacity, with less than 20 gigawatts installed at the end of 2023. So they've got a lot to catch up to. 90 gigawatts need to just comes from somewhere, so they can reach their goal by 2030, which they only got 6 years. So I don't know how long it takes to install wind turbines, but I don't think it's that long. I feel like it's pretty quick. It's more of like making sure it has a sound foundation in the ocean, and then you just pop them on. So I think the foundation probably takes the longest, and then you can just pop them on. In more marine news, I guess, a fossil jawbone was found by a British girl and her father on a beach in Somerset, England. And it belongs to a gigantic marine reptile dating back to 202 million years ago that appears to have been among the largest animals ever on Earth. This is coming from ABC News. Researchers said the bone, called a Sorongulare, was from a type of ocean-going reptile called an ichthyosaur. Ichthyosaur. Based on its dimensions compared to the same bone in a closely related ichthyosaurs, the researcher estimated that the Triassic period creature, which they named Ichthyothitan severnensis, was between 22 and 26 meters long. That's a long boy. The world that would make it perhaps the largest known marine reptile and would rival some of the largest baleen whales alive today. The blue whale, considered the largest animal ever on the planet, can reach about 30 meters long. So there might be longer Ichthyotitans, but we just don't, we haven't found them yet. They all got turned to ash. Marine reptiles ruled the world's oceans when dinosaurs dominated the land. Ichthyosaurs, which evolved from the terrestrial ancestors and prospered for about 160 million years before disappearing roughly 90 million years ago, came in various sizes and shapes, eating fish, squid relatives, and other marine reptiles, and giving birth to live young. Ichthyotidon is known only from two jawbones. The one found by Ruby Reynolds and her father, Justin Reynolds, in 2020 at Blue Anchor, Somerset, and another from a different Ichthyotidon individual found in 2016 along the Somerset coast of Lilstock. So they're all living in Somerset, I guess. It is quite remarkable to think that gigantic blue whale-sized ichthyosaurs were swimming in the oceans around the time that dinosaurs were walking on land in what is now the UK during the Triassic period, paleontologist Dean Lomax said. Ruby Reynolds, who was 11 at the time and is now 15, was fossil hunting on the beach with her father when they spotted a piece of the Sarongular. Ruby continued to search the area and found a second piece, much larger than the first, partly buried in a mud slope. They subsequently contacted Dr. Lomax, a ichthyosaur expert, and additional sections of the bone were unearthed. It has been amazing, enlightening, and a fun experience to work with these experts, and we are proud to be part of the team and co-authors of a scientific paper which names the new species and genus, Justin Reynolds added. Ichthyotidon was a member of the family of giant ichthyosaurs called Sastasauridae and lived 13 million years later than any of the others known to date, suggesting these behemoths survived until a global mass extinction event that doomed numerous types of animals about 201 million years ago at the end of the Triassic period. No fossils of the rest of the Ichthyotidon skeletons have been discovered, but the researchers have been able to discern its appearance based on other members of its family, including Chonosaurus from the British Columbia, Canada. The Sarongular is a long, curved bone at the top of the lower jaw, just behind the teeth, present in nearly every vertebrate living or extinct, apart from mammals. Muscles attached to this bone generate bite force. So, there you go. Big jaw. We found a big jawbone. And it's very big. Bigger than any jawbones I've ever found before. So, unfortunately, they don't have a picture of it. They just only have a picture of like a rendered concept art of what the creature would have looked like. But just imagine like maybe as long as an SUV jawbone. Pretty long. Pretty long jawbone. And that just was swimming around the UK back in the Triassic period. Anyways, those are two stories about wind and dinos.
Right on. So some more Good Tuesday News Day. This is from the Motley Fool, Yahoo.com, but it's written by Gregory Saylor, Seiler, from the Motley Fool. It's been difficult 3 years for the stock of Rivian Automotive, which has the NASDAQ symbol RIVN, which has gone from hitting over $179 soon after it debuted in November 21 to under $10 today.
Wow.
Rivian has been making progress selling vehicles as it has more than doubled production and deliveries in 23. However, the electric vehicle maker has been selling vehicles at a loss, as demonstrated by its negative $2 billion in gross profit last year. Hey, Trump would kill for those kind of earnings. Anyway. A $2 billion loss, that's a record profit year for the Trump organization and all his fraudulent businesses.
Yeah.
Rivian gross profits are the difference between the price at which it sells its vehicles and versus its cost to make them. This includes any marketing, research, and development or corporate costs, and involves mostly the material and labor costs to make the vehicles. Rivian's negative gross margins are a sign that it does not currently have the scale and manufacturing efficiency to compete with larger automakers. More recently, overall EV sales have begun to slow, according to Kelley Blue Book, and the U.S. EV sales only rose 2.6% in the first quarter. That compares to 46.4% in quarter one of 2023. Well, the reason for that is they keep raising interest rates, so people can't borrow money, and it slows down buying, it slows down the economy, and these idiots that keep raising their interest rates act like they're doing something good. But, oh yeah, we're making the money worth more. How? I have no idea how they think that works. I see the theory, but it's the cause of inflation has to be more money in the system, right? And that wasn't the cause. The cause of this was greed. Anyway, while Rivian has certainly been dealing with the issue, there has been some good news that recently come to light for the company. Bloomberg recently reported that Amazon has become the largest private operator of EV charging stations in the U.S. Why is that good news for Rivian? Because the company is provider of Amazon's electric delivery vans, EDVs. Amazon is looking to get net zero emissions by 2040, and Rivian's EDVs are one of its keys to reaching that goal. Amazon has ordered 100,000 vans from Rivian in 2019, with plans to have them on the road by 2030. However, thus far, only 13,500 have been delivered. Okay, that's 5 years. You got to get to 100,000, yeah. Well, they're only averaging about 2,000 a year. It's going to take a while. Or 3,000 a year. One of the big reasons for this is because the e-commerce giant didn't have the charging infrastructure in place. However, the company now has 17,000 chargers at 120 warehouses throughout the U.S. This will pave the way for a lot more EDV deliveries to Amazon in the coming years. Notably, Amazon is also a large shareholder of Rivian, owning nearly 17% of the company, so it has an interest in making sure Rivian is successful. Just as importantly, Amazon has laid out the roadmap for the other companies looking to change over their fleets to EVs. The Amazon Rivian EDV deal was initially exclusive, but that exclusivity has ended. AT&T will be the first company besides Amazon to run a test pilot program with Rivian this year, adding the EVs maker vans to the fleet. More good news. While EV sales slowed dramatically in Q1, Rivian sales were quite robust, increasing about 59%. The company produced 13,980 vehicles while delivering 13,588. That growth far outpaced overall EV growth in the United States. Meanwhile, the Rivian R1S was the fourth best-selling electric vehicle in Q1, only behind two Tesla models and the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Rivian just introduced more affordable electric EV, the R2, last month. It starts at $45,000, and the company is looking for it to be a more mainstream vehicle. The new vehicle received over 68,000 reservations within the first 24 hours after it was introduced. With negative gross margins, Rivian has still a lot of work to cut out to prove it's a viable business. On that front, the company did announce that it would shut down both its consumer and commercial lines for several weeks to implement cost-saving technology at all of its plant, and it will include new design and engineering changes to its R1 platform. It also includes its line rate by about 30% to improve vehicle product efficiency. As production grows, the company becomes more efficient. It should have a path towards positive growth margins and later profitability. While it may not be easy, having the backing of Amazon helps a lot. Rivian is undeniably speculative, but for investors looking for a high-risk reward investment, the stock has potential and finally seeing some good news for a change. Should you invest $1,000 in Rivian Automotive right now? Well, hell yeah, you should. It's $10 a share. It started at $179. If it gets back to $179, you got yourself some money. The Motley Fool stock advisor analyst team just identified they believe are the 10 best stocks for investors to buy now, and the Rivian Automotive wasn't one of them. The 10 stocks that could produce. Oh, this is a whole other story. So we're not gonna bleed into another story of theirs. Here are the best 10 stocks. Woo! That's your story on Rivian, and I'm gonna I got like $20 in my E-Trade account. 21. I can buy 2 shares. See what happens. Back to you. If you're
right.
there,
I mean, it's $20, so it's like buying, a steak or something, One less steak.
Gotta buy something.
Yeah.
The cash account ain't making me any money. Having $21 sitting in the cash account is 0.04% interest a year.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Oh, and I got a Shakespeare calculator.
A Shakespeare calculator?
Not calculator, translator.
Oh, okay.
Shakespeare translator, yeah. So I type in I put a paragraph in English and I can read it.
In Shakespearean.
In Shakespearean. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right. For our next story.
Okay, I'll do it in my next story. Go ahead.
Okay. For my next story, we're going to talk about stop smoking. That's right. In the UK, there's less smokers, mostly due to increased prices, according to a study. This is from The Independent, and it's written by Ella Pickover. A rising number of smokers have attempted to kick the habit due to the cost of cigarettes, figures suggest. Communicating the potential savings people can make by cutting out cigarettes could help even more people quit, academics have said. It is expected that the cost of a pack of cigarettes will top £16 from October 2026, after Chancellor Jeremy Hunt hiked the tobacco duty in his spring budget this year. Researchers led by academics from the University College London wanted to assess whether coronavirus pandemic, the cost of living crisis had an impact on smokers' desire to quit. Some 5,777 adults in England who classed themselves as smokers in the past year were involved in the study. Each had made one or more serious attempts to quit in the last year. Some were surveyed each month between 2018 and 2023 to capture changes in time. Up to 2020, 1 in 2 attempts to quit were motivated by health concerns, 51%, 20% were due to social factors, 1 in 5 or 20% were motivated by cost, and 1 in 6 or 16.5% quit attempts were made after advice from health professionals. So what did we learn here? If you have your own internal health concerns, you are 50% chance likely to start quitting. If social factors, which I guess is social pressure, like a bunch of people are like, oh, you smell bad, or can you not smoke in here? And they're like, oh, I'll just quit. It's too much trouble. That's 20% of people start quitting if you have social pressure. Or if it's too expensive, it's the same, 20% for both of those things. But if a doctor tells you to quit, you're less likely. 16% of people were like, my doctor told me to quit because the smoking is causing me. And I said, fuck him. How dare you tell me what to do with my life?
And even social pressure just drives it underground anyway.
Yeah,
just
right.
Sneaking smokes.
Start doing nicotine patches instead.
Hey.
In 2020, when the pandemic hit, the proportion of attempts to quit motivated by health concerns, social factors, and cost increased to 56.2%. 23.9% and 25.8%. So there was a 6, 3, and 5% increase, I guess. Cost is increasingly important motive for trying to stop smoking, communicating the potential savings people can make by stopping smoking could be effective for motivating attempts to quit. But those motivated by health professionals' advice fell to 8%. I don't believe any of you guys. COVID's not real, and neither is smoking and lung cancer. You're just lying to me. You're trying to control my life. Rise in the motivation linked to health-related or social motives soon returned to normal levels, but attempts to quit motivated by the cost increased further during 2022 and 2023. Quit attempts due to the cost stood at 25.4% in May 2023 compared to 19.1% in 2019, the author said, and those motivated to quit after advice from health professionals remained suppressed at just 8.5%. Health concerns remain the most common motive for trying to stop smoking. The relative importance of other motives have shifted since 2020, with cost motivating a great proportion of attempts to quit and social factors and health professionals' advice motivating a smaller proportion, the authors wrote in the journal at BMG, Public Health. As cost is an increasingly important motive for trying to stop smoking, communicating the potential savings communicating the potential savings people can make by stopping smoking could be effective for motivating attempts to quit. It comes after a separate study published last week in the journal BMC Medicine found there had been a rise in the production of middle and upper class women under the age of 45 smoking. The researchers said the cost of living crisis may have affected more disadvantaged women's finances and therefore their desire to smoke. Government figures suggest smoking costs the UK around £17 billion a year, including £10 billion every year through lost productivity. It says the cost dwarfs the around £10 billion raised through taxes on tobacco. So, if you want to influence people to quit, tell them they have health problems and also that they can't afford to smoke anyways. And then you got them. You just make it absorbently expensive and, well, of course the thing is, if you make it too expensive, you might also increase the illegal sale of cigarettes, right? That was famously what people get arrested for in the US, selling cigarettes, not in a store. You can get freaking harassed by police officers for doing that. And all they're trying to do is make a little money, you know? Let me sell you a cigarette so I can, you know, go buy some food or probably whatever they want to buy. They just want some money, so they sell cigarettes on the street, you know? And you get
one cigarette at a time.
Yeah. Cheaper, it's not cheaper, probably. It's not cheaper, but it might be. Soon it might be cheaper. £16 for a pack. I remember when people were freaking out in the US when it was like it went up to $7 or something. And people were like, oh my God! The world is ending! $6 for a pack of cigarettes! Now it's £16 in the UK. That's quite the inflation of the price of cigarette packs. Oh, fuck them.
It's like time to take up heroin.
I'm just saying, I probably have asthma from all the, you know, my family members smoking around me when I'm a child. So...
Oh, nobody smoked. Come on.
They did.
Who smoked? Who?
Grandmother?
Oh, that was very infrequent. Okay,
but whatever you say, secondhand smoke is more deadly and more harmful than any firsthand smoke. So, and the fact that I have nostalgia.
Oh, mine own God.
And Mom smoked for at least the first, I don't know, 10 years of my life. So
she smoked occasionally. I don't think she was a big smoker.
Okay,
she smoked
but
outside.
Just because the room isn't full of smoke,
she's never blown it in your face.
Children's lungs.
There were people.
I'm just saying, there is an actual scientific effect.
You should have grown up in the house I grew up in.
And I have asthma. Oh my Lord! It's not genetic.
No, you had asthma, totally unrelated to that. You had asthma probably from gas being in the house, natural gas. That would be more likely.
I think all of
that was there all the time. Nobody was ever smoking in our house. I don't think anybody ever smoked in our house in El Paso.
Well, no, nobody smoked there, but when other people smoked.
Those are your lungs were forming.
I don't know why you're so against this idea that maybe smoking caused asthma.
I didn't say smoking didn't cause asthma. It didn't cause your asthma, is what I'm saying.
If you say so. Anyways, fuck smokers.
See how it's possible.
I don't care about them. There's a person, our neighbor is a smoker, and it's constantly going into my window.
Oh, it might be hurting you now, but you can't blame me for that. My neighbors, it was the natural gas.
I don't care about your money problems if you're smoking. That sounds like your problem. Anyways, I hate smokers. Next story.
All right, Shakespeare. Okay, it's Talk Like Shakespeare Day. So, couldst I bum a smoketh?
Yeah.
couldst I bum a smoketh? That's what we Shakespeare would say. Smoketh?
A bum a smoketh.
Could I bum a cancer stick?
You want to smoke some death sticks?
Come on. Got a cough. Hold on. And get through this story without coughing. We got us a win.
Hell yeah.
I have two stories, but they're shorter. This is from CBSNews.com. She knew her son and other people with disabilities have so much to give, so she opened a cafe to employ them. This is by Caitlin O'Kane. Maureen Stanko always felt her son Nick had so much to give. Nick is 20 and is on the autism spectrum, and despite her knowing he had so much to give, what he would do after graduation kept his mom up at night. I was lying in bed one night at 3 a.m. and I was thinking about, oh man, what's going to happen to him? You know, it's like coming, it's like impending now, Stanko told CBS News. In Pennsylvania, where they live, students with disabilities can stay in school until they are 22 years old. Stanko says he's heard from many parents of kids with disabilities that they worry about their kids' futures. I actually remember a saying that my father had, when you have a problem, pray like hell and get off your knees and do something. And that's when it popped in my head. So much to give. Yeah, because praying like hell doesn't really work. So brought her worry to Nick's therapist, Tyler Camarelli, who told her that a goal of opening a restaurant to employ people with disabilities. They teamed up with the philanthropist Kathy Opperman to make the dream a reality, and about 2 years later, so much to give was no longer just Stanko's mantra, it was a restaurant. They opened the So Much to Give Inclusive Cafe in Cedars, Pennsylvania, January 23. They employ 63 people, 80% of employees have a disability, and they work as greeters, food runners, sous chefs, dishwashers, and servers. So Much to Give inclusive, but the cafe is not only a place to work, it became a safe space for others with disabilities to dine. We never even took Nick to a restaurant before this cafe opened, because when we used to, it wasn't worth it, because we would spend all this money to go out and eat to be completely stressed out. The cafe has taught Nick how to sit in a restaurant because now they have a place to go, where if he stands up and starts hopping like a bunny and clapping or yelling, nobody cares. While at So Much to Give, we met Lauren Opelitz, who is hearing impaired and works at the cafe as both a hostess and sign language teacher. I mean, if you asked me over a year ago, 2 years ago, that I want to be a hostess, a server, I wouldn't believe you, because I have grown so much self-confidence, he said. A lot of these employees have known since the very, very beginning that the growth I see in them is just mind-boggling. Stanko didn't know if Nick would be able to work at the cafe because of his disability and extreme food allergies, but he's exceeded her expectations and helps out the cafe before it opens, setting up the tables before diners arrive. I actually bought him here on Wednesday because his school was closed, and he set the entire room without saying a word. And that the level of pride in him was just incredible. Stanko didn't stop at the cafe. Her dream was to create a space to teach people with disabilities. So across the street, she opened up the Inspiration Studio, where they teach music, life skills, crafts, and other classes for people with disabilities. Stanko says she couldn't have done it all without her team and the doctors who helped make both of these spaces possible. I did originally think that So Much to Give was all about Nick and others with different disabilities, he said. And what I've learned through this whole process is that it's just not about Nick and other people with disability. Everybody has so much to give. So there's your story, your good news and Good News Newsday, and another quick story about the NASA Voyager that I forgot the headline, but it won't take that long. NASA's Voyager, more good news, because you can't get enough good news. NASA's Voyager 1 resumes sending engineering updates to Earth. This is a brand new story. So, after some inventive sleuthing, the mission team can, for the first time in 5 months, check the health and status of the most distant human-made object in existence. This is from NASA.gov, so it's their official website. For the first time since November, NASA Voyager 1 spacecraft is returning usable data about the health and status of its onboard engineering systems. The next step is to enable the spacecraft to begin returning space data again. The probe and its twin, Voyager 2, are the only spacecrafts to ever fly in interstellar space, the space between the stars. Voyager 1 stopped sending readable science and engineering data back to Earth on November 14, 2023, even though the mission controller could tell the spacecraft was still receiving their commands and otherwise operating normally. In March, the Voyager engineering team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab in Southern California confirmed that the issue was tied to one of the spacecraft's 3 onboard computers called the Flight Data Subsystem, or the FDS. The FDS is responsible for packaging the science and engineering data before it's sent to Earth. The team discovered that a single chip responsible for storing a portion of the FDS memory, including some of the FDS computer software code, isn't working. The loss of that code rendered the science and engineering data unusable. Unable to repair the chip, the team decided to place the affected code elsewhere in the FDS memory, but no single location is large enough to hold the section of code in its entirety. So they devised a plan to divide the affected code into sections and store those sections into different places in the FDS. To make this plan work, they also needed to adjust those code sections to ensure, for example, that they all still function as a whole. Any references to the location of what the code and other parts of the FDS memory needed to be updated as well. The team started singling out the code responsible for packaging the spacecraft's engineering data. They sent it to its new location in the FDS memory on April 18th. A radio signal takes about 22.5 hours to reach Voyager 1. Even though it's traveling the speed of light, it takes 22.5 hours. Isn't that interesting? Which is over 15 billion miles from Earth. And another 22.5 hours for a signal to come back to Earth. When the transmission flight team heard back from the spacecraft on April 20th, they saw that the modification worked. For the first time in 5 months, they have been able to check the health and status of the spacecraft. During the coming weeks, the team will relocate and adjust the other affected portions of the FDS software. These include the portions that will start returning science data. Voyager 2 continues to operate normally. Launched over 46 years ago, the twin Voyager spacecraft are the longest running and most distant spacecraft in history. Before they started their interstellar exploration, both probes flew by Saturn and Jupiter, and Voyager 2 flew by Uranus and Neptune. It flew by Uranus. There you go. There's your story. Update on Voyager 1. Still alive after all these years.
Hell
still
yeah.
sending data. Still reporting.
Wish I could
Good
be that
news.
determined to live.
Huh?
Just a dark joke. A dark joke. I said I wish I could be that determined to live like the Voyager.
Oh my.
A dark joke. You know, classic Zoomer / millennial humor about depression. Anyways, good job,
That's
Voyager.
right.
Keep going. And also that woman who helped open that the food allergy.
Disabilities Cafe.
Her son, who can work with all the food allergies that he has. Really nice. Being able to actually...
I don't know if it...
Being able to actually do something.
gotta
When
find
the
it.
world tells you can't do anything and you're like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyways. Not that the world says that, but sometimes it feels like the world's screaming, you can't do that! And you just have to flip it off and tell it, yeah, I can. Speaking of nothing to do with any of this, Nature now has its own Spotify artist page.
It's a great segue.
Yeah. And why does Spotify give Nature its own page? Well, that's because it's trying to raise money for nature conservation. This is coming from Euronews Green, written by Rosie Frost. Nature as an official artist will mean singers, songwriters, and bands who use the sounds can choose to add it as a featured artist. You can now listen to Nature on all major streaming platforms. From Pink Floyd to Beatles, natural sounds have been enhancing music forever. A new initiative will recognize Nature as an official artist, meaning singers, songwriters, and bands who use these sounds can choose to add it as a featured artist. Featuring Nature. We use the sounds of dogs barking. Nature. I think that's, isn't that a Beatles song? Or is it no, it's a Pink Floyd song, the dogs barking one. Oh no, the one with the dog whistle. And then it causes dogs to bark. Some of their profits from streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music will then be shared with environmental causes. Revenue from tracks that feature nature will go towards supporting biodiversity protection and conservation projects as part of the Sounds Right initiative from the Museum for the United Nations, UN Live. The artist page for Nature will also have an ambient recordings of environments around the world from rainforest to ocean. At least 70% of the profits from these tracks will also go to fund conservation. Looks like I'm going to be listening to the nature playlist during my editing session today. So I can help donate 70 cents per, I guess, minute of listening to nature. Pop culture, like music, has the power to engage millions and millions of people, ignite positive global change at a scale, and get us all on a more sustainable path, says Katja Iverson, Chief Executive of Museum for United Nations, UN Live. In a world where empathy is declining and many people often feel that their actions hardly matter, Sounds Right and UN Live meet people where they already are, on their screens and in their earbuds, with stories and formats they can relate to, and actions that matter to them. Recognizing nature as the valuable artist it truly is will be a game changer. So what will the money actually be spent on? UN Live hopes the project will raise $40 million, or 37.5 million euros, within its first 4 years. How the fund is allocated will be overseen by an independent panel of conservation experts, rights advocates including indigenous people and conservationists from the global south. Some of its current targets include forest preservation in Madagascar and efforts to prevent deep-sea mining. Artists have also released songs in collaboration with nature to support the initiative. Brian Eno has remixed a version of his David Bowie collaboration, Get Real, using the cries of hyenas, rooks, and wild pigs. While Ellie Goulding has remixed her track Brightest Blue using sounds from the rainforest of Colombia, which she described as one of the most beautiful and biodiversity-rich environments on our wonderful planet. Only I enjoyed listening to Ellie Goulding. I don't like her voice, so listening to her is like nails to a chalkboard for me. But good for you. If you like listen to her, go listen to her track, and also go listen to Brian Eno's track to get some good hyena cries and wild pig sounds. And of course, check out the Natural Sounds playlist on Spotify, and maybe it says all major music streaming platforms, which I don't know if that also means YouTube Music. I personally use YouTube Music because I'm already using YouTube Premium, so they go together, you know. I don't get ads on either platform. And I know, you know, there's been some drama on the internet about YouTube, because I mean, even Rog has been talking about this. Ads everywhere. They're really pushing buying YouTube Premium because the ads are like every 2 seconds now. But it really is worth it, because you also just get access to all of their things without ads, right? Not just one thing, but everything. And I don't think YouTube Music's that bad. I've never liked Spotify. I've tried it before. But my problem with Spotify is that when it first came out, it was only on phones. And I'm like, I'm not downloading an app on my phone. I want to listen to it on my computer with my fancy headphones so I can, you know, hear all the dynamic music sounds, whatever. But there are some people who don't like the compression they do on YouTube Music. So, I can't tell. I'm not that much of a freaking what is it called? I can't hear you. You're still muted. Earfile?
Sorry, I was coughing. Again. I said just buy the original if you can.
Yeah, buy the original. I'm sure that's always something you can do as well. But you're not going to support nature if you don't listen to... I'm just looking this up real quick on my YouTube Music if there's actually like a nature thing. But I don't know if they'll actually say that. There is an artist called Nature, but there's also other artists called Nature. So... Well, either way, go listen to some nature on, I guess, Apple Music and Spotify, because they at least in this article, it shared that they will be sharing their money with environmental cause groups. And that's my story here on Culture about nature and music from
maybe you can find a mic drop from that. I'll find a mic drop from the Ramones. The Ramones, which is one of the original punk rock bands.
With music sounds?
From the movie
Animal sounds?
Rock and Roll High School, which was a really bad movie. I'm sorry, what?
Rock and Roll High School.
It's a clip from Rock.
Bad movie.
It was a really bad movie. I watched it. I was like, oh my god. Of course, you can't expect punk rockers to be actors. The Beatles kind of pulled it off, but there's like a Beatles punk rock movie, right?
But at that point,
Hard Day's Night punk rock version.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, they were pretty famous, though. So would you even consider them punk at that point, you know?
I don't even know. I was just, no, they were always considered punk. They never learned to play their instruments.
I'm just saying they were definitely
they
popular.
knew one chord.
So at some point,
there's
you
the
have to
Ramones
start.
and their one chord.
I just feel like when you're
Anyway.
a punk musician, you don't care about how you look towards other people. I guess they kind of were
They
like
did
that.
go
I don't know. I wasn't
mainstream in some-
alive.
I
I have
mean,
no idea what the Beatles were like. I wasn't alive when they were even popular. But I feel like at some point they started molding their personalities to be more accepting and social normalcy, maybe.
Punk was an attitude more than it was. I don't think punk was more. I like Billy Idol was punk. I don't think Billy Idol was a legitimate punk. Like he was a punk rock. You know, he was a street punk rocker, and he became a star. But he became a top 40 hit at some point.
Yeah.
He became a top 40 artist. So punk was kind of mainstream by then. By the time rock and roll high school rolled around. I don't know. But maybe we'll cover it in this day in history, which is also Talk Like Shakespeare Day.
Yeah. But you
should get away with that.
You should do the whole thing in Shakespeare.
I should, huh?
Was on the year 1987 of our Lord.
Okay.
That's what they always say or something.
In 1016, in here 1016, on the death of Ethelred II of England, his son claimed the throne as Edmund II.
Ethelred,
in 1635, in this date, he skipped right over all of Shakespeare, right ahead to 1635. The Boston Grammar School, later the Boston Latin School, open to all boys regardless of social class, was founded as the first public school in what would become the United States. It set a precedent for tax-supported public education.
Good
Where
job.
Shakespeare never heard of the United States. Yeah. Shakespeare never heard of the United States, but here's how this would sound in Shakespearean. The Boston Grammar School, later the Boston Latin School, open to all boys regardless of social class, did found it is the first public school in what wouldst becometh the United States, setteth precedent for tax-supported public education. There you go. And Shakespearean.
To try getting
Where's
a
my
British
golf clap?
accent next
No
time.
golf clap? Wow. Anyway.
It doesn't sound right in an American accent.
My own golf clap. There you go.
It's funny because it goes over your face.
You can even do the James Buchanan, the 15th president of the United States, was born this day in 1791 near Mercersburg in Pennsylvania. 1858, German physicist Max Planck, who originated quantum theory, was born in Kiel. 1906, Russian Tsar Nicholas II promulgated the fundamental laws, which marked the end of unlimited autocracy, but fell short of reforms promised in the October Manifesto. Way to go, Tsar Nicholas! You just ensured that your son was going to be removed by the Bolsheviks by not living up to your word. You could have prevented the communists from taking over back in 1906, just keeping your word. But you didn't. 1914, on this day, Wrigley Field opened. Coincidentally, right before the start of World War I. Isn't that weird? Wrigley Field hosted its first Major League Baseball game. The stadium later became the home of the Chicago Cubs. And it's still there, still hosting games. The smallest stadium in the league. The 1931, although Fenway might be smaller. I don't know, Fenway in Boston. Two really old parks, they still there. 1931, the American film classic The Public Enemy released in theaters, and James Cagney's landmark performance as a gangster made him a star. 1936, American singer-songwriter Roy Orbison was born in Vernon, Texas. Roy Orbison. 1976, American band The Ramones, which was hugely influential in the rise of punk rock on both sides of the Atlantic, released its eponymous debut album. Eponymous just means they named them after themselves. The Ramones. 1984, the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Margaret Heckler, announced that researchers had found what was believed to be the virus that caused AIDS. The infectious agent was later named HIV. 1985, the Coca-Cola Company introduced New Coke, a reformulated soft drink meant to replace its flagship beverage due to public outrage. However, the previous version of Coke was brought back as Coca-Cola Classic less than 3 months later. Of course, none of it is the original Coke because they're still putting corn syrup in it instead of sugar. And if you're in Europe and you drink Coke, enjoy it because it tastes better. Because the United States Coke is garbage.
We actually don't have any
terrible.
drinks, I think, with corn syrup in them because it's not considered an actual health-based substance.
American sodas have been ruined ever since they started putting corn syrup in them. I can't find anything I can drink that doesn't taste like corn syrup. So, boy, I got some corn syrup. Yay. Might just give me a bottle of corn syrup.
You have to go to Europe just to buy
in 2005
soda. I thought you could take it back home.
I guess. I was just, ever since nobody even remembers when there was sugar and sodas in this country. I don't think anybody remembers. Their taste buds don't. You have to go to Europe to be reminded. Oh yeah, this is what Coke used to taste like. And this day, 1998. James Earl Ray, who shot Martin Luther King, died in prison at the age of 70. Rotten hell, you scumbag. 2005, the first video, which was YouTube co-founder Jewett Karam's visit to the San Diego Zoo, was uploaded by the YouTube website. Approximately 1 year later, the site had some 100 million views. So YouTube,
wow,
the first video was this
Happy
day.
Happy YouTube Day or something.
2005. Something.
Or something.
We should play that video. Maybe we should play that video. The San Diego Zoo, Jewett Karam's visit. I don't know. 2007. Russian politician Boris Yeltsin, who became in 1991 the first popularly elected leader of the country of Russia, died at the age of 76. Should have taken better care of yourself, Boris. You would live as long as Putin. I think Putin's like 80, right? He's still kicking.
Yeah, no idea.
Come on, cancer. You can do it. Our featured event in 1993 on this day, voting for Eritrea's independence. A country I never heard of that existed, but it's existed since 1993. On this day, 1993, a long history of foreign rule and decades of war, the small East African country of Eritrea. Began 3 days of voting on a referendum to make its official independence from Ethiopia. So congratulations to them.
Eritrea is famously the only country in the world other than the United States that double charges you taxes if you're living in another country. And only they got yelled at by the UN for doing it, while the US did not get yelled at for doing it. So that's what I know about Eritrea.
Oh. And of course, this day is the day that William Shakespeare died. April 23rd, 1616 at Stratford-upon-Avon. Doesn't even say how old he was. Doesn't even say how old he was. Doesn't say his birthday. So it was mysterious.
They thought, I think there's a common theory that it was just like a pen name that people just passed down, you know?
Oh, there's a theory that Sir Francis Bacon wrote all of his plays, which is great for Sir Francis Bacon's, descendants to go around going, yeah, we did this. He didn't do anything. They got written and whoever wrote them is dead now, right? Let's just call it Shakespeare and just wrap it up. Nobody's ever going to prove otherwise. Other birthdays today, James Buchanan, born in 1791, which he would be really old now. He was the 15th president of the United States, the one right before Lincoln. 1928 is the birthday of Shirley Temple. And we already covered Roy Orbison, born in 1936. Michael Moore, American filmmaker and author, born in 1954. Britannica wants us to remember the birthday of Timothy McVeigh, American terrorist. Fuck him. Jesus, why do I need to know his fucking birthday, Britannica? Are you fucking kidding me? Some piece of shit nobody who only got famous for killing people. Ooh, let's remember his birthday. Really? Really? Really, Britannica? Oh, Lord. I swear to God. Serial killers and terrorists. So remember their birthdays. Yay, we must commemorate. What the fuck? Anyway, National Day Calendar. It
How
is
did
National...
Trigger Raj to tell him it's a serial killer's birthday?
That pisses me off,
Do not
man.
tell me. Don't never tell this guy that.
All the people. Look, let me just go and rock. Let me just do this. This day in music history, right? And all the people they could be remembering, just in music. And they want to remember Tim McVeigh. I'm going to get somebody else to do this from now on. I'm going to do a different day in history. They're pissing me off. Oh no, let's do the born on this day. Born on this day. Okay, who in music was born on this day? Besides Tim McVeigh. Listen, geez, nobody I ever heard of.
Somebody who never, maybe that's not on the list.
Nobody I've ever heard of. Roy Orbison, we already covered that. That's it. Nobody famous. Nobody really famous. The third bassist for this band was born. Okay, the third bassist. Okay, who gives a shit? That's even more of a who gives a shit. Okay, it's us. What day is it? Besides get pissed off at Britannica for not covering actual, real, intelligent events. I don't know what an intelligent events is, but I'm losing my mind. It's National Talk Like Shakespeare Day, which we covered. It's National Picnic Day. National Take a Chance Day, which is always taking a chance when you're going on a picnic, because it's always ruined by something. Either rain or ants or birds or bears or dogs or squirrels. Something's going to ruin your picnic. Take a chance. Take a chance. Do it. Don't worry about it. It'll get ruined. Don't worry about it. And take a cherry pie with you, because it's National Cherry Cheesecake Day. Sorry, not cherry pie. Cherry cheesecake. National Lost Dog Awareness Day. And School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. So you must always appreciate those school bus drivers. Imagine your life if you got to that stage in your life where you're working for such low pay to put up with people's crap. So appreciate your bus driver. They put up with a lot of crap from not just kids. Everybody. The school.
The
everybody.
Reason that your bus driver, if you're American
idiots,
and you
people
had a
driving
bus
like
driver,
idiot.
and they're really mean to you and strict, is because they get blamed for anything that happens to you before you get on the bus, while you're on the bus, and after you get off the bus. Everything.
That's right. They're a ticking time bomb. Don't set them off. Do not be the trigger. Anyway. Be nice. Smile even if you don't like them. Be nice to your bus driver. Again, I see it all the time. People just flying right past bus drivers that are stopped. School buses, you know?
Messed up, man.
That should be a $10,000 fine.
Yep, 100%.
You gotta take over your car. You could run over a kid. Anyway. Those are your days for today.
The kids are stupid. You don't, stop acting like all kids are supposed to be some sort of intelligent, self-preservation creatures, okay?
And don't forget, it's National Lost Dog Awareness Day. And they got a picture of a cute little dog with one of them little sticks with a bag, bag with a stick through it. The hobo bag.
Yeah.
Poor little dog.
Yeah.
He's on the road, but he managed to pack a stick with a bag on it. Now that's a clever dog, and he can tie knots. Makes you wonder why he's homeless. Should be in a circus or something, or on TV. April 23rd, 2024. Don't forget, there's a million ways to win, but only one way to lose, and that's by giving up on Good Tuesday on Before Coffee.
Okay. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands, where we also have a wind farm, actually. I forgot to mention that. I don't know if it's a big wind farm. I have no idea how big it is, but we're also been farming wind for, I think, a long time, actually. Before I even moved here, there was that huge wind farm off of the coast of Amsterdam. And don't forget to listen to your nature playlist to support nature today. I think yesterday was Earth Day, which ironically enough, they did the nature playlist thing today, but celebrate the earth. We will see you. We will see you tomorrow for Wacky and Weird Wednesday, where we cover all the weird news story that's been happening last week and even this week. Take care out there. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and comment down below which serial killer you hate. And here's your mic drop moment.
I think I hate them all.
Shout Factory TV, changing the channel.
So what do you think of my school, guys?
Boy, when you have recess, you really go all out.
Consider yourselves officially enrolled in Rock and Roll High School. The facilities are yours. Do whatever you want.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.